This video is about how to use the sealed bids method to solve a fair division game problem. The sealed bid method is used for fair division problems involving a discrete set of goods. A discrete set of goods is a set of goods where the individual items cannot be subdivided without destroying their value. So for example, if your set of goods contains a car, you can't exactly take a chainsaw to the car and cut it in half. That destroys the car. So that's an example of a discrete good. So other things, so cars, books, if you rip a book in half, you sort of destroy it. Or, I don't know, a cat. Things like that. A discrete set of goods is a set of goods where if you destroy, or if you split up an individual item, you destroy it. So sealed bids method operates under the assumption that players would be willing to accept money instead of an item. It also operates under the assumption that a player would be willing to pay some money and get an item in order to make sure that everyone gets their fair share. So the way we figure out sealed bids is by filling out this rather complicated looking chart. This is a file on our D2L page called the template worksheet for sealed bids. I suggest that you either print this out or sort of copy it down and have this in front of you while you follow along with my video here. The way that sealed bids works is that each player secretly bids on every item. They either bid what they think the value of the item is or what they'd be willing to pay for it. These are probably the same thing. They do this secretly and then they submit their bids to us, the arbiter, and we figure out who's getting what by filling out this complicated chart. It is too big to fit on my screen all at once, so I'm going to go through this in chunks. The top part of the chart here is actually pretty familiar. I have the players listed, and basically these are the bids on all of their items. I've got 3 players, Alice, Bob, and Carol, and they are bidding on a chair, a couch, a table, and a lamp, because I recorded this video in my living room and these were the first items that came to mind. You'll notice that we have 3 players but 4 items, and that's okay. Sealed bids will handle this just fine. So this first part of the chart you will not have to fill out because you're not bidding on the items, the players are. The next row in the table here is labeled total bids. And I think that's pretty explanatory. It's basically the total value for everyone. We've done this before. So for Alice, we would just add up 50 plus 60 plus 75 plus 85. That's a grand total of 270. And we do the same thing for Bob. Add 55 plus 62 plus 80 plus 70. That's 267. And for Carol, we total up her column. So 48 plus 65 plus 70 plus 72 gives me a grand total of $255. The next row in the table is fair share. Well, we know how to handle that, but be careful. In this situation, there are 3 players. That means that to find the fair share, I take the total and divide it by 3 because there are 3 players. Again, I am dividing by 3 because there are 3 players. The number of items that they are bidding on doesn't matter at all. All that matters is the number of players. So yes, to get the fair share for everyone, I divided it by 3. If you notice, the fair shares are different for each player, but that's because their totals are different, because they all valued things differently. So far, everything that we've done should be pretty familiar. We've done all this before. Now comes the new part. This next row is entitled Awards. So let's imagine that this is an auction. After all, everyone bid on an item. Generally, in an auction, the player that wins the item is the player that bid highest on it, and that is the case here. So let's look at the chair. Who bid highest on the chair? Well, Bob did. So since Bob bid highest on the chair, he is going to win the chair. Now we move on to the couch. So once again, we ask the question, who bid highest on the couch? Well, Carol did. So Carol is going to win the couch. Onto the table, we can see that Bob bid highest on the table, so Bob will win the table. And the lamp, Alice bid highest on the lamp, so Alice wins the lamp. So it's really just like an auction. You give each item to the player who bid the highest on it. So if you noticed, courtesy of my red rectangles, I was looking at one row at a time when I was awarding the items. Also, Bob got 2 items, and that's okay, because if you think about it, with 4 items divided among 3 people, somebody's going to get 2 items, and that's okay. Now, if we stopped here, this wouldn't seem fair at all. Fortunately, we don't stop here. We keep going. The next row in my chart here is labeled at bid of. This is also pretty easy once you understand what that means. So let's start with Alice. Alice won the lamp, and she bid $85 for the lamp. So that's what we put there. Now Bob won the chair and the table. He bid $55 on the chair and $80 on the table, so that is a grand total of $135. Carol won the couch for $65. So that's what the at bid of row means. They're not necessarily paying these items, but that is the total value of the items that they have right now. And if you look at it, Bob's got substantially more than everyone else. So this would not be fair right now, but we're going to fix it. My whole table is not going to fit on the screen anymore, so we don't really need to pay much attention to how the players valued the individual items anymore. So that's why I don't have them that part of the table on the screen anymore, but don't panic. Okay, so far everything has been pretty straightforward. The next section is still kind of straightforward, but I think it requires a little more explanation. The next row is called remaining claims. Thing is we want everyone to get exactly their fair share. Alice's fair share, for example, is $90, but if she gets the lamp, she's only got something worth $85, and that's not enough. So to calculate the remaining claims, we're going to take what they got, the at bid row, and we're going to subtract the fair share from it. So Alice got the lamp, which is worth $85, but her fair share is $90. So I'm just going to do $85 minus $90. Bob got the chair and the table, which is worth $135, but his fair share is $89. So I'm going to do 135 minus 89. Carol won the couch at $65, but her fair share is $85. So we'll do $85 minus $65. I'm going to do these actual subtractions now. So for Alice's column, 85 minus 90 is negative 5. So how we interpret this means that Alice is short by $5. Her fair share is 90. She's got something worth 85. So in order to bring her up to her fair share, she needs $5 more. If I do Bob's subtraction, that's $46. Bob has gone over his fair share. So this means that Bob has $46 more than his fair share. And Carol, if I do the subtraction, that's negative $20. So that means that Carol is short by $20 from her fair share. Basically, if the remaining claims is negative, that means that they don't have enough. But if the remaining claims are positive, that means they got more than their fair share. So the idea here is that if Bob pays $46, he will have a total of his fair share exactly. Now Bob won't mind paying $46 because he's getting $135 worth of stuff, so that's a pretty good deal as far as he's concerned. If we give Alice $5, then her combined total of items and money will be exactly her fair share, so she'll be satisfied. If I give Carol $20, then her combined total of items and money will be exactly her fair share, so she'll be satisfied. So Bob is going to pay the $46 to Alice and Carol. But Alice needed $5 and Carol needed $20. That only makes $25, and Bob's going to pay $46. So there seems to be a discrepancy here. So the difference between what Bob paid and what Alice and Carol received is called the surplus. So the surplus is the next row in my table here. And if you notice, it's not split into columns because it is the same for everyone. So the surplus is basically, as I said, the difference between what Bob gives me and then what I pay out to Alice and Carol. So Bob gave me $46. I take away 5 to give to Alice, and I take away 20 to give to Carol. So if I do the subtraction here, that's $21. You don't have to think too hard about finding the surplus though, because you can just add all of the entries in the remaining claims row. -5 plus 46 plus -20 is $21. Math works nicely that way. So now I have $21. I could keep it, but I'm honest. So what I'm going to do with this $21 is divide it evenly among the 3 people. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. Again, I divide it by 3 because there are 3 people. So, at long last, we're going to get to the last row, which is the final settlement. This is what everyone gets. So Alice gets the lamp. Alice gets $5 to bring her up to her fair share. And Alice gets $7 because that's her share of the surplus. Bob gets the chair and the table, but he's going to pay me $46, and then I'm going to give him $7 from the surplus. Carol gets the couch. She gets $20 to bring her up to her fair share, and then she gets $7 from the surplus. Of course, what I could do, instead of saying, Alice, here's $5 and then here's $7, I could also just say, here, Alice, here's $12. Likewise for Carol, instead of giving her $20 and then $7, I could just give her $27. And with Bob, it seems kind of silly to have him give me $46 and then I give him back $7. So I think I'll just charge Bob $39. And this is the final settlement. As it turns out, this is fair because everyone gets their fair share. And generally, if everyone's being honest, this also, more often than not, turns out to be envy-free. So this long process is how you do sealed bids, but essentially you just have to go through and fill out the table. And no, you don't have to memorize the table. I will provide that for you to fill out.